Dimitri, and today I'll be showing you yet another of those champions who feel extremely powerful and cool to play, unless you are 0-10. With this one it goes to extreme, because obviously, as you can see, we're talking about Vayne. So, let's start off with runes as always. First off, you always want to go for precision. Then you have option between press the attack and little tempo, even though I personally tried little tempo twice and it's not that good. First off, press the attack obviously works with your core mentality hitting people 3 times. More importantly, when the target is affected, you will deal more damage to them, obviously, and that allows you to quickly finish them off and go on to the next target. It is also, and this is mostly the reason I always take it over Lethal Tempo, much more useful in lane, where you just need to auto attacks 1Q and you deal that bonus damage this applies. So, not much of a discussion, I would always recommend going for press D attack. Then, it's again mostly depending on preferences, but overheal, I guess you could go overheal on Vayne, since you will be healing a lot. But I just find this rune extremely underwhelming, so I never use it. And that brings us to Triumph and Presence of Mind, where again, Triumph is probably better since you will probably be trying to aim for that late game in team fights, and getting 12% of your missing health is really powerful. Also, you're really reliant on items, and that 20 gold, eh, it's 20 gold that you can use. And Presence of Mind, you will probably run out of mana a lot in teamfights, since you will be using your Q all the time and things like this. But it's not that terrible that you would need to take Presence of Mind because of that. Next, Alacrity is almost must have. You gain almost nothing out of Tenacity, because once you actually do get CC'd, you probably won't get alive even with a slower CC. And Bloodline, you will have a lot of healing without it, so you don't need it. And lastly, Cut Down or Coup de Grace, real easy. Coup de Grace if the enemy team is not necessarily full tank, if they have many champions who have more health than you. I usually take this if enemy doesn't has a hard CC team comp, like for example Leona support, some high health ADC, for example Twitch, which, well, you don't see much of those today, but it's an example, and really hard tanks. I usually like this a bit better since you can use it all the time, when Coup de Grace will grant you that benefit only once they are low, and then they're not much of a problem for Vayne. But, well, Coup de Grace is definitely a safer option. And for our secondary runes, it's pretty easy. You are going for healing from Domination. So Taste of Blood and Ravenous Hunter. And if you wouldn't know, Wayne's Wayne's W, the true damage, will heal you from the Ravenous Hunter stack. So you will be getting giant amount of health if you are fighting against someone who has a lot of health. And for smaller runes, you will want to take 10% attack speed because Wayne, Adaptive Force because ADC, and Armor or Magic Resist because matchup. That is going to be everything for runes. I will see you with the rest of the video in the game. Okay, so first off, summoner spells. It's gonna be really easy with almost an ADC. You wanna go for Flash and heal. Unless enemy team comp is extremely assassin heavy, then you definitely want to take Exhaust instead, even on ADC, and especially on Vayne, which only weakness are the assassins. Now, quickly to the items. Uh, you definitely want to start with Dorn's Blade and Health Pot because it's basically really easy choice. Even though sometimes you may want to get Cal if you are low on gold after your first recall. You will still be able to utilize it, and it's a good option. So always start with Dorn's Blade, possibly go for Cal if you have to return early. But now to the normal item building. First thing you always want to purchase on your normal recall is going to be Nunquir. Because first off, without this you can't fi finish off caster minions after a turret shot, so you need this to be able to farm better. And also the stats are pretty great for an ADC. If you if you don't have enough gold to purchase Nuclear, you always can go for Berserker Greaves as your first item, because when has great bonuses from attack speed, obviously thanks to her free attack resetter. So I wouldn't be worried to go for Berserker Greaves first. If you do have enough gold to go for Nuclear, go for that and try to finish your Kraken Slayer, which kind of is the only option for Vayne, even if enemy team comp is not extremely tanky, Kraken Slayer on Vayne is extremely powerful. After that, you definitely want to finish your Berserker Greaves if they're not yet. And for the first item, I see a lot of people going for Guinsoo's Rage Blade, which is extremely strong on Vayne, thanks to its uh, Seething Strike, which basically allows you to deal great damage with your W. But I prefer going for Blade of the Rune King first, because obviously it deals nice amounts of damage, but more importantly, it gives you a bit more self-sustain than you already have and more mobility. So this is my second item to buy, and then I go for Windsor. Sometimes it you can go for Rage Blade first if you feel like enemy laner is scaling too. For example, when you're playing against Jinx, because it's 400 gold cheaper. But I prefer Blade of the Ruined King more. Then you definitely will buy this. And then, extremely, again, one of another great item is Phantom Dancer. Again, it grants you movement speed, which is great for Vayne. It has free attack bonus. Right now it's 30% attack speed, which again increases attack speed, Vayne, good. And for last item, as always, it's situational. So if you really feel like you need so much more damage, so much more anti-heal, you can go for Mortal Reminder, even though there's so much healing that this may not do enough. But of course, if they are tanky, like a lot, you can obviously go for Lord Dominic Regards. But on Vayne, I usually like to go for items which grant me some other options. So on Vayne, I really like Guardian Angel because you are extremely squishy, but if they do have an assassin and he will kill you, Guardian Angel gives you that second chance, which is the whole point of the item, and you can still be useful in team fight because Vayne is powerful. So I usually like to go this because assassins kill you so fast. And yeah, that's everything for items. Now a bit to the abilities. First off, we got Vayne's passive, 9 Hunter, which as you can see in this circle around you, you gain 30% move speed towards enemy champions. So you have extremely good chases, and you just cannot be escaped. This obviously is increased with your ultimate, which I'll talk over later. But basically, it's a really simple ability which allows you to chase enemies. Obviously, once you are moving away from them, the ability is not working. For this to work, you need to be able to see the enemy champions, and you can see these little circles under Vayne, which define that it is active. Your Q is a short dash which starts on 4-second cooldown and is your first ability you'll be getting. First off, it deals additional damage after the roll, which means that it can allow you to farm more easily, but most importantly, it can go over walls, which I've seen some players think that it can do that. This again is mostly going to be used to dodge some abilities or to chase enemies. And funny thing is that the distance your Q moves is constant, so you can't choose how far will you go. Meaning that you can use it as auto attack resetter, but you need to be close to a wall, meaning that when you damage an enemy, you wanna roll into a wall that is close to you, so you can make a shorter distance and auto attack faster. This can be easily used when you're fighting a dragon, because there is this little ball right here where you can just keep auto attacking him, and every time your Q is ready, you can do this again. I forgot I have 6 items, but at least you see how powerful I can be. So always, when you're doing a dragon, you can do this where you keep auto attacking and keep rolling into the wall so you can do it faster. Now, your W, which there's no explanation. After 3 hits towards an enemy, you will deal from 9 to 14% of their health. 4 to 14% of their health. And that's it. It's probably Vayne's most powerful ability. You will be getting it on 2nd level, and you will be maxing it first because the damage is consistent and powerful. Every ability you have applies it, which means that only your E, because Vayne is, as you probably know, the only champion, I believe, only champion in the league who has only targeted damage, meaning that your Q is an empowered auto attack, and your E, which we'll be talking about right now, is also applying your W. Now, your E is an, again, point and click ability, which will force the target this distance from you. And the distance is always constant, it doesn't matter how far you are, and it will launch the target in a straight line. If the target hits a wall, they will be stunned and will be dealt more damage. This is ability will be getting on 1st level and maxing last, but it's solely the reason why it can 1v1 enemies. Because if they would be able to get to you, and even though your Q has slow cooldown, altogether with your ultimate, uh, your E gives you that I win card. Meaning that when you launch them into a wall, it's extremely powerful, and you can then obviously go for some cool shit like auto attack QW, and you gain that quick press of all your items and W. Another important thing I can tell you about this is that there are like few combos. So for example, when you're fighting an enemy, you can obviously use your Q or flash to use your E. With flash, it's better because you can use your E and then flash, meaning that, for example, this guy, I can E him and flash here, and he will be forced into the wall. You can also use this, and this is a bit less probable situation, but you can E your enemy and then flash behind him, meaning that you'll basically switch places, but I don't think that there's gonna be many situations to use this one, but just so you can see, it works like this. I think the first option where you're just dash when you're flashing to the side is much more useful, especially in lane when, for example, you're getting a gank, enemy can get CC'd. You will be able to, for example, very often happens that your jungle comes and enemy is trying to run away. Instead of eing them far further from you, you can just use your E and then flash, so you got confirmed kill. And once you do land it, it should usually result in a kill. Because if Vayne has 1.5 seconds of doing what she wants, she will kill you. And lastly, we got Vayne's ultimate. First off, it's kind of power. It empowers basically everything you have. First off, you gain from 35 to 65 attack damage, which is extremely powerful, meaning that you gain free. I believe it's like, okay, I have no idea what to compare it to, but it's a lot of damage you can get just for pressing a button. Then, while you're in your R, you the passive bonus from Night Hunter is increased from is increased to 90, meaning that it's tripled, and you move from this speed, and, and instead you move this fast. So you definitely will be able to chase anyone you want. And lastly, your Q. The cooldown for it is decreased by half, meaning that you can use it almost all the time. And more importantly, you will become invisible, which you can see in all those cool montages where when just invisibly goes into bush and everyone is like, oh, where is the Vayne? Uh, it's really powerful, mostly because just like any other champion with invisibility, you can counter some abilities. Like the best example, in my opinion, is Darius's ultimate, where you will disappear and his ultimate will be cancelled. And basically, this is a team fight winning ability because every time you kill an enemy or the champion will die after you damage him, uh, you will be granted another 4 seconds, meaning that you can keep this through whole team fight. And that's basically everything to your abilities. Now towards laning. First off, you are weak early. You will be suffering from basically any champion who fights you because Vayne does not really have anything going for her early. Her Q does have some nice damage, but it's mostly going to be used for killing minions because you again don't have anything apart from auto attacks to attack. So you will have those short resets so you can farm, and the damage is not significant enough so you can kill someone. Maybe only champion who can be a bit weaker early is Jinx, and you would be Jinx only at level 2 when you have your W. Possibly. She will probably still win. And yes, next, probably, I guess I could talk about it right now. Champions you don't want to play against. Basically, any early game champion. So I extremely hate playing against Draven as Vayne because Draven, kinda like Vayne, most of his abilities are undodgeable because it's his Q which empowers his auto attacks. Meaning that you can't use your tumble to fight against Draven effectively. So basically Draven is my permaban on Vayne. Other champions I don't really like fighting against are, for example, Jhin, who obviously Jhin's early game is insane, but unless he hits your W on you, he does not really have a way to engage. And since you have your Q, you can dodge his W easily. Then, of course, you got champions like Tristana, who do has extremely stupid early game damage. But with Tristana, you can just use your E, and she will be destroyed because if you use it mid-flight, she won't even be able to land damage from her jump. So basically, beware Draven. Also, big problem can be Caitlyn, but again with Caitlyn, you can dodge basically two of her abilities, and if you've played smart, you can possibly dodge her traps too, unless you get CC chained. From supports, obviously, you don't want to play against something like Pyke or Leona because they do have those strings where if they hit you once, you will be CC'd for a long time and your tumble won't be able to help you. And since Vayne is extremely squishy, like right now I'm level 18 and I have barely above 200 health, 2000 health. And yes, so beware hard CC. Also, when with your supports, beware hard CC too, because champions like Nautilus or Leona are there for the early game. Specifically, these two are strongest at level 2. And on level 2, Vayne can basically apply her press D attack and one stop one stack of silver balls. And that's basically it. If the enemy champion is squishy too, you possibly can have a chance, but it's unlikely. So if you are going for a hard CC with your support, or your support is going hard CC, it's better to either pick different champion or ask them if they could go something with which has high damage itself, which again is Spike or Pantheon. Because those two do have CC and they have high damage which allows you to kill the target because Vayne can't do it alone. And you again, if you don't want hard CC, you want some support, and that is going to be casters. Probably best caster you can go with Vayne is going to be Lulu, since she has her enormous shields and more importantly her W with that incredible attack speed and movement speed. So Lulu is probably best champion to play with Vayne because she has a way to keep you alive in lane and can make you stupidly powerful in the late game. You can possibly go for Yume, but then again, when you're playing with Yume, you have zero lane presence. And since Vayne herself has zero lane presence, if you take Yume, you will just have to hope that enemy team can't dive you under tower. And yes, some protective supports like Braum can work, but they won't really do that much for you. And yes, once you do get your basically once you have Berserker Greaves, Kraken Slayer, and Blade of the Ruined King, you will start to pop off, which is around the end of the laning phase. And at that time, you do want to uh, usually still stay in the lane alone, and you will probably be able to 1v1 a lot of enemies. Again, only problem are assassins. Because if, for example, you're playing against Kain, who has a great snowball potential, and he gets fed, you won't even get to fighting, you will just be deleted. So, usually what you want to do is still play safe, or either stay with your team. If you do stay with your team, you can try to ask them nicely to give you CS, but since that usually doesn't happen, that's why I like to go into solo lanes and try to stay on my side of the map. And yeah, if you happen to get fed early, you basically have won the game. Because even if they have some extremely powerful champion like eight, like no, like Set, or maybe I'm just trying to think of someone right now and I can't, so we're gonna go with Set. He won't be able to chase you. If he does, you always have your E and you have true max health damage, meaning that no matter how fat someone is, no matter how much health he has, you will be able to stay away from them and quickly chip them off. So beware of assassins and basically kill everyone else. Well, that was probably the worst example I could have given. But, well, you can find your own ideas. That is probably going to be everything for Vayne, because since Vayne is actually kind of mechanically hard, because you have all your E resets, the right time and direction of your EQ, and obviously flashes with your E, you still are a champion who only has to hit auto attacks and play smart so you don't get killed. So that's basically it. You definitely always want to be there when you're taking objectives because, well, let's go for the dragon again. Maybe this time I will be able to showcase Q reset better. I will not, but it looked cool. So yeah, this is Vayne. Once you get fed, you are unstoppable. Beware of Kassadin, Zed, Kain, or any other assassin. Yeah, this is going to be everything. Petri out.